I'm doing fine. So leave me alone, so leave me alone, so leave me alone. I'm doing fine. So leave me alone, so leave me alone, so leave me alone. I'm doing fine. So leave me alone, so leave me alone, so leave me alone. I'm doing fine. So leave me alone, so leave me alone, so leave me alone, leave me alone.
And a good afternoon to you, my friend Terry Holloman.
What's going on, Mr. Zach? How are you?
I'm doing A-okay. Another beautiful day here in California. Yeah, I haven't quite gotten used to this. Every day you wake up and it's like sunny and nice, and yet no one's any happier.
Come on, man. First and foremost, you can't leave me hanging. What is the temperature today where you're at? I know the sun is out, and I'm sure it's not very cloudy. But what is the temperature, the actual temp? 75. Oh, I hate you right now, man. I hate you. I think it was like 35 a minute ago when I was outside. 34.
But here's the thing. Here's what I've come to realize, Terry. It's like it is like if you had Christmas every day, Christmas would just become Wednesday.
Yeah.
You get so accustomed to this that you stop appreciating it. I haven't gotten there yet. Every day I walk outside, I'm like, good morning, world. But I see everybody else, and they're like, ugh.
You wake up with your Folgers, like, another beautiful day.
I just go, Alexa, play orchestral soothing music. But yeah, others, I'm a newbie here. And others have just become accustomed to this. Some still appreciate it on a daily basis. But the thing is though, if you took it away from them for a week, everybody would freak.
Oh yeah,
everybody. Absolutely. Like 3 days of rain. What the first couple of weeks I lived here, that we were supposed to have something called a rain event. I heard that over and over, and then a rain event just means rain.
It just rains.
Rain. It just rains.
And precipitation. That's crazy, man. Get them to spend a few days in Seattle in February, and then we'll see them change their tune immediately. I guarantee it.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Don't ever change up on me, Zach. Always appreciate the sun and the heat, man. Don't take it for granted. Don't become one of those cynical people who just sneer at the sun.
What is this, our first episode? Like, I'm a cynical person to start with. Change on you. If I change on you, it'll be the day that I'm like, you know what, Terry? The world is beautiful every day, and all people are full of good. I'll be like, if I'm ever Scrooge on Christmas Day, you should be like, I'm contacting his family. He's
intervention time.
Funny, yeah, exactly. So you and I, Rachel Belle is joining us, by the way, friends of both of ours, and we've been doing the show, Terry. The episode tonight is about sourdough starters. In kind of we're approaching, as you can tell if you read the news, and people love anniversaries and everything. We're approaching the 1 year anniversary of like the pandemic really coming down. Like we started hearing whispers and denials of it in mid-February, but this is when furloughs started. This is when shutdowns and mandates and fear and deaths and everything started. And this is also, on a lighter note, when people started getting their sourdough starters and decided, you know what, if I'm going to be locked up this year, I'm going to do whatever I can to improve myself. And for a lot of us, it meant like we're going to become home chefs. And when I think of cooking and I think of interesting food, Rachel Belle, host of Your Last Meal, which she'll come on and tell us about. It's her podcast. It's been around for a bit. She's just about to hit her 100th episode. Yes. When I think of like interesting food people to talk to, Rachel is always, plus she's a friend, and we haven't had her on yet. And I don't know why we overlooked her.
We're slacking. I don't think we overlooked her. There's no such thing as overlooking Rachel. And very for true. Those of you who aren't familiar with her, you'll find out very soon what I mean. There's no overlooking Rachel. I think it was just a faux pas. I think we just kind of, so many things were just, we were just so caught up in the pandemic and day-to-day mundaneness that, we just slipped.
Yeah, and, and speaking of Rachel Belle, look who it is. It's Rachel Belle.
Guys.
Hey,
buddy.
Hey.
What's up, Rachel?
What's going on? guys.
And once again, Rachel makes me feel inadequate. She brings her own microphone to the game. Professional looking.
I'm working from home now, so I have a whole studio in my kitchen. And I'm better than you.
Much better. From the beginning. That's given.
Yep. Are we like live right now? Going?
Yeah, we're live. This is happening. People can see
okay.
you, people can hear you, all that. So that's what you're wearing.
I know. Nobody told me about this portion. I would have put on my evening sweatsuit. I was thinking that. Oh, go ahead.
No, you just had. Yeah, you have a massive can of something in your hand, and I'm curious as to what it is.
Yeah, it's Four Loko.
Nice.
Yeah. No. Okay. So I have this like terrible. I don't know if you'd call it disease, but like I can't drink by myself. And it sucks, man, because sometimes after work, I just want to have a beer and like I can't finish it. So when I knew we were doing this, I was like, I can be like a real American guy, like have my beer after work with my buddies at the bar. And that's you guys. So you're with me drinking this Bale Breaker IPA.
Yes, totally justified. Now it's a happy hour.
It's a happy hour. Speaking of, I was thinking that it'd be really cheesy if you guys called yourselves Z&T. But then I thought, if you were Z&T, then I could make myself a Z&T, which would be a Zima and tonic.
Would you?
That's a little bit too much tonic. Like, you just want to just fizz your whole face off, don't you?
Yeah, that's your new catchphrase. Z&T will fizz your face off.
Well, fizz your face off has always been our catchphrase, Rachel.
Yeah. Now you have like, I don't know, a title before the catchphrase, like whatever it's called.
I like the thought of Zima with a mixer. Like, you know what? This 3% ABV is just gonna put me down for the count. So let me the first alcohol I ever drank was a bottle of Zima. I stole it from an adult party, and there was just a cooler, and this was like you know how like burglars run in a cartoon and they make that little like plink 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 sound. That's how I ran over to the cooler. I probably like changed to wear all black, and just slunk over, took a bottle of Zima, and then ran like 300 yards away from my house. To a group of friends who were waiting for the one bottle of Zima. There was like 4 of us. And then we passed it around and each took a couple of drinks. And then we're like, are we drunk now? And the thing is, we were like 12. And even then, Zima didn't get us drunk.
Boozy Sprite.
I know. But it was delicious. It was a good introduction.
Is Zima still a thing? I mean, I know we've moved on to other things like Truly and White Claw. But is Zima still a thing? I haven't seen it since.
It disappeared, like it went out of business or whatever. And then they brought it back a couple years ago for a Fun Times thing. Like, remember they brought Clear Pepsi back for a minute? It was kind of the same idea. But I think it's gone again. But people were very excited about it.
Yeah, they did the same thing with Quaaludes. Just for everyone who felt nostalgic.
Ludes made a comeback. I thought they were banned. I thought they stopped making them altogether.
Do you think that Breaking Bad made meth popular again, or like made people who wouldn't do meth do meth?
It made me think about making meth. Like I was like, if Walter can do it, I can do it.
It made me angry with my meth dealer at his quality of meth. That's what it did.
Understandable.
Why isn't it blue?
Going back to your cartoon reference of the like blink, 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 that made me think about how much I still as an adult love cartoon food, particularly the pancakes. There is no pancake in real life that can possibly taste as good as a cartoon pancake looks. There's always 20 of them stacked up with a perfect pat of butter on top. The syrup is cascading down the sides, and then they cut, a wedge, but with 20 layers of it, and they go and just accordion it into their mouth. Nothing tastes that good. Oh, it looks so good.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you what I've always wanted to do. So as far as cartoon food, since we're going there, have you ever seen like the nondescript piece of meat? It's like a bone with a piece of meat around it, and you just put it in your mouth and pull it out with the bone.
Yeah,
that's the piece of meat I've been looking for my whole life. Like I'm not sure exactly what animal that meat comes from.
No, it's delicious. It's both. It's too big for a chicken and too big for a turkey. It is.
Yes.
It's some monstrous bird.
Saber-toothed tiger. Oh, it's a bird.
I would
Oh,
assume
okay.
it's a bird. Yeah,
I'm sure.
I'm not 100% sure. But then, yeah, and then cats in cartoons would always, they would eat a fish, they would put the fish in their mouth and they'd pull out and it would just be the skeleton.
And you'd hear a xylophone sound. Oh my God, it's so fulfilling. And when they took bites of sandwiches, whether it was Yogi Bear or the Hamburglar, all those guys, like that always looked really good too. I don't know if there's an afterlife or what. I'm agnostic because maybe there is, but I hope that if I die, I go to a cartoon because then I can finally eat all of the cartoon foods I've never been able to eat because I'm a stupid human.
Yeah, I know, and our stupid human food that we don't allow to cool in the windowsill like they do with pies and cartoons. Have you ever cooled anything in the windowsill? Either of you?
I've put actually yes, like not.
Yes.
No, but yes.
Not in a quaint way, and I've never had that perfect windowsill. But I've, I made a cake and it's last minute and I need to frost it for someone's birthday and it's too hot. So I put it near the window or outside, but it never looks so cute like that. It just feels stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I've done, Zach, is so I've never done anything quite like that. Put a pie or a cake in the window. But what I will do, since I'm greedy and hungry, and I will drive. So suppose I go to like Taco Time and I get one of those crispy burritos. You know the guy I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they bring them out of the fryer and they're piping hot. I will stick my hand out the window as I'm driving down the freeway to cool off my crispy burrito so I can eat it in the car.
Dude, I hope someday, not so you lose your burrito, but just because it would look so amazing for someone to see that you are holding this burrito out the window, waving it, and then a giant bird, like a pterodactyl, comes down and just takes it all in one bite, just swoops it out of your hand.
Swoop.
Yeah.
That would be my luck, Rachel, that a bird would come and swoop my burrito.
It would, but you'd love it.
She didn't say bird. She said pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl.
We've all lost grip of reality.
we have ventured off into the Twilight Zone. This is now the ZNT Twilight Zone.
Oh, I like it.
Use your face.
So Rachel, I wanted to ask you because you were always my go-to for food things. Do you have a sourdough starter still? Because that was like, remember that we've had so many weird phases of this pandemic, right? Remember Tiger King? That's like coming up on a year old. But one of the first things when it came to self-improvement was, and I feel like you even talked about this before the pandemic started, Rachel. Like people were going out because we all like this idea of sustaining ourselves and growing our own things and buying these disgusting old jars of sourdough starters that were upwards of 100 years old or even more, even older than that sometimes. Did you ever get one to make your own sourdough bread? And I would be curious, anybody watching or listening, did you ever follow through with that? Because I feel like there's just a lot of people who now have these gross jars filled of these unfulfilled plans sitting on their kitchen counters now.
These live mothers. Yes and no. So I've always wanted to be a person who makes sourdough bread because I love sourdough bread. But I also, bread scares me. I don't feel confident with the sourdough starter. So I never had one. And then when everybody else got one, I never got one. But then I took a cooking class a few months ago where they required that you get one to make pizza dough. And so I got one off my neighborhood buy nothing group and I used it for the recipe. And then I murdered it on purpose because I just didn't want to. Can we swear on this?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to fuck with it. It's just too much. It's too much. Like I am childless on purpose. And I was like, I got to take care of this sourdough starter. I don't want it. So I just like stabbed it and killed it. After one recipe, I also was given a kombucha SCOBY, which is very similar. It's also a live mother. And I had that on my counter for many months and never did anything with it. A friend came over to feed my cat and it freaked her out. So I murdered that too.
Your
cat? No, I didn't. Yes. Yeah. But I kept the SCOBY. But I'm actually
one living thing at a time.
I'm impressed that people got into it. I'm proud of America because we are a country of, frozen Trader Joe's meals and fast food and eating cheese and crackers over the sink. And the fact that en masse America was making sourdough, which is fairly complicated. I just felt proud of my country in a way that I may never have before.
Actually, I think that we're a country who intends, and it was a country that intended to make their own sourdough and then realized, oh shit, it's still only $2.99. Even in the midst of a pandemic at Whole Foods, even. It's like it's one of those things. Like if I could have like a caviar starter, something that's expensive.
Yeah.
But it's like why I never got why people have chickens to get their own fresh eggs. Fresh eggs at worst cost you $3.99 for a dozen. And that's if you're going like crazy high end.
I'm gonna tell you what though, Zach. I'm gonna make here's a confession for everybody out there listening to TNZ.
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 TNZ.com.
I'm an egg snob. I am an egg snob, man.
Yeah,
and I think it's happened to me since I've lived out here in the country. In Snohomish, man, you can drive down a couple of blocks and find people that have the signs out front of their house to say fresh eggs or whatnot and organic and free range and all that stuff, man. And I didn't think there was a difference beforehand. And then you get them. If you ever try them side by side, you will find out quickly that there's no comparison, man. And I don't even buy regular eggs anymore. I know it sounds stupid. I didn't ever think I was going to be that guy. But if my friends are watching and listening right now, I've been excommunicated from the club.
I'm your friend and I'm watching.
I mean, my other friends. my friends that just got done celebrating in February.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like, come on, man. Really? Yeah. You don't eat regular eggs no more, man?
No.
I'm with you on that. I was always really cheap about it too, and I didn't want to pay more. But one time I splurged, it was on sale or something. And once you get your first taste of that sunset colored yolk, all of the other ones that they sell look so wan and sick and sad in comparison. And I can't go back either.
Yes.
And also because, not to get too serious, but everybody knows how the chickens are treated. And it's worth knowing the difference between all those labels. Cage-free actually doesn't matter. Just because they're not in a cage doesn't mean that they're not stuffed together just in a giant room. So you have to get the pasture raised. Is if you see pasture raised, that's the only one where they're actually given a normal amount of room and they're not pecking each other's faces off. Right. So yeah, for me, you have to pick and choose. A lot of listeners on Cairo will email me after I talk about, not thinking it's okay for zoos to exist. Well, you eat meat. And it's like, oh, whatever. I'm not perfect, but you pick and choose. Like, I don't believe in zoos. I still eat meat, but I buy the good eggs. It's like you do what you can.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to be consistent to have a point.
Mm-hmm.
Because I agree with you on zoos. Zoos are bullshit anyway. Because there's no other place you can go to where half the attractions just don't feel like being out there that day. And they're still like, yeah, but they're animals. Somewhere. It's still going to cost you $38 to see this unhappy cheetah growl at you menacingly. Even at like age 8, when it was so exciting to leave school, we went to the Philadelphia Zoo. And if you can imagine like brutality, imagine the Philadelphia Zoo.
Everything in Philly's rough.
Everything in Philly's rough. Yeah.
They're throwing cheesesteaks into the lion cage.
All right.
Wally, where's my cheesesteak?
But it was just like this clearly upset lion just pacing back and forth. And at that point, the only thing I knew of lions were from like Disney cartoons where they were majestic and then, would die early on in the film, but at least in the wild. And then there's this thing that clearly like was incredibly unhappy. And no matter how much the zookeeper tries to like pump up the lion's existence, like even as an 8-year-old, I saw through that bullshit.
Yeah.
This is a very unhappy animal.
On the flip side of that, and again, being devil's advocate here, I mean, what do you do? I mean, do you go through an entire life without ever experiencing animals, like wild animals in up close and personal? You just got to see them on a book or now on the internet?
I want to merge the two ideas. I think the best way to experience an animal is to eat it. So I'd eat a lion. And there are websites where you can buy lion.
Totally legal.
Come on, man. Now you're making up stuff.
I'm not making up stuff, man.
You can get anything on the internet.
Yeah, but seriously, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to eat some hippo? I kind of do.
I think yes. Like, of course we all want to see these animals and they're beautiful, but that's the problem with being human, is that we think that we're at the top of the food chain, so we can do whatever we want. And we do, but there's no way to justify it without saying it's just 100% selfish, like, because we want to see them. So they have to suffer and be in a very small area and not be in a natural environment because we want to see them. And I won't get into a ton of details, but I've done a lot of coverage on this. Woodland Park Zoo in Seattle had elephants for a while, and it was very controversial. And I covered it for years. And, there were all of these studies done that said people who stand in front of the elephants, because the zoo always argues, children need to see these and it helps to educate them so that they can stop poaching in Africa. It was something like the average person stands in front of the elephants for 22 seconds. Yeah. And the amount of money that they donate to these efforts is insignificant. And America can't stop Africa from poaching. These countries need to do their own work. It's super complicated, but if you look into it, there's nothing to justify zoos. They should be in sanctuaries or out in the wild.
Okay. Or just have the balls to go where they live.
Yeah.
It's like lions exist in a vacuum. I mean, they are out in the wild somewhere. Go there.
It's a little bit more cost prohibitive to get to Africa than it is to get to the zoo. But, it is what it is.
But that's not the animal's fault.
Yeah, I guess so. It's our fault. It's what we want. I got a question for Rachel, though, since she brought up her extreme journalism skills and tactics. We were talking about this before you came on air, and it was your intrepid reporter skills. Can you tell us about the time that you went undercover to bust the bikini baristas?
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. I have two embarrassing experiences.
We got to go undercover.
I'll tell you. Okay. Oh my God. So there's just these couple times where I've decided, you know what? I'm going to be an investigative journalist. And I don't want to give away too much behind the scenes, but there's like nothing behind the scenes. I don't have an editor that looks at my work before it goes on air. I don't have someone assigning me anything. Like, it's the Wild West when I decide to take on some kind of endeavor like this. So yes, years and years ago, I mean, it's probably like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, something came up. I believe it was in Bothell, where there was a bikini barista stand. And I don't know if it was a rumor or a news story that, let's just say it was a rumor for legal sake, that the women that were working at this stand were kind of involved in prostitution. And the idea was that the boss, the guy that owned this place, would sit in a pickup truck outside the stand and kind of like run this operation. So this is when I was on the Ron and Don show on Cairo. So this was my one big move that I thought was so smart. For once, I said, no, I can't take the marked company vehicle. I'll take my own car. So that's the biggest thought that went into this. Like, don't show up with a car that says Cairo on it. So I roll up in my what was I driving at the time? I was going to say it was like a Hyundai Accent. I don't know. No. This was my, okay, I'll come back to this. My Prism. Oh, my Geo Prism. Oh
my gosh, this is longer than 7 or 8 years ago then.
No, it was it was an antique. It was like the car my dad gave me in the 20s. I was still driving it 10 years later. So I go through, and very timidly, because I am bad at this, I'm like, oh, can I have a latte? And then I asked, like, oh my God, I wish I can't even, it's like I'm going blank because I'm so embarrassed thinking about this. I basically asked them if they would do a service for me.
Yeah, a sex service.
But I didn't say, like, hey, would you specific service? I was like, hey, do you guys do I got nervous. And I started talking like that, like sex stuff. I mean, I fucked it up. And of course, the woman was like, no, absolutely not. Do we do this? And then I felt so embarrassed that I told her that I was a reporter and that I was undercover because I didn't want her to think I was a creep and I wanted my latte.
Pardon me, ma'am. I would like to purchase some sex stuff.
I know. And
how much is your sex stuff?
A soy decaf latte, please. And then I did a similar thing with a gun.
Can we just pause again? Okay.
Yeah.
To reiterate, Rachel Belle is not an undercover reporter.
And also,
nor has she ever
been.
Nor has she ever been asked to do an undercover assignment.
She took it upon herself.
Like her primary jobs were like Airbnb has this new feature.
Yeah. And like, do elephants belong in the zoo?
And then one day you're like, fuck it. I'm busting this thing wide open.
This prostitution ring.
Yeah, I was going to bust a prostitution ring. Exactly. I was going to be a hero.
You're going to pull her face off and be Jesse Jones.
And I could have done it if it wasn't for those stupid kids. Yeah, it was bad. And also, like, it was Ron and Don's idea, honestly. Why would you send a young woman in her 30s to bust a prostitution ring? Like, you send the creepy dude.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you don't fit the mold of your typical... Maybe that was their thought. Like, you're not going to arouse... But Don, hey, how you doing? Here's what you're going to do today.
Yeah. He's like, the Snohomies need to know.
Gotta tell my Snohomies.
Yeah. And they did a similar thing where we decided that I would go to this gun shop. There was something going on several years ago. Again, I can't remember what, but it was something about
prostitution at gun shops.
Yes, like how easy it was to buy a gun. And I walked in and was like, "Can I please buy a gun?" And I was asking all these stupid questions, and the guy was looking at me so suspiciously. But then 3 minutes in, he goes, "You're Rachel Belle, aren't you?" And I got recognized, and my story was ruined yet again.
But Rachel Belle, like, it seems like you would need a gun. Why is Rachel Belle not to get a gun?
Yeah. Well, I was acting. I made up a story, though.
Oh, you did?
About why. Yeah. I was like, I think I need some protection.
You're like, I am, but you also sell sex?
And lattes? Yes. So I'm for hire if anybody is looking for any sort of detective work or investigative journalism. Yeah.
Right. Any sort of crime syndicate that you feel like is polluting your town.
Yeah.
Rachel Belle. Send Rachel
Belle. She's like the A-team. She's the one-man A-team.
I feel like they should put me then in one of those like stupid buddy cop comedies. Like I'm like the doofus who fucks it all up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like you would be the worst, shortest movie of like Donnie Brasco ever. Like, or The Departed. Like, are you a cop? I am. Yes. I'm Rachel Belle.
As a matter of fact, I am.
I know. I'd give it up too fast. Which is not an indicator of what they do at that stand up in Bothell.
No, they don't.
No.
Nor have they ever.
Nor have they ever. Nor is there a guy outside the truck.
Yeah. Did you ever think about that? Like, what if she had said yes? What your step would have been then?
No, I didn't think about that.
Drive away. Just hit the gas.
All right, thank you.
Totally. Or it could have been like my college moment. Like everyone's a little lesbian in college.
Right.
But I guess I would have had to pay for it. So that's different.
But you're a podcaster like Terry and I, T and Z. And you do a show called Your Last Meal. And it's about people's what choice they would have, but this is just a launching off point, what their last meal ever would be. And congratulations, I suppose, are in order because you just hit your 100th episode.
I did, yes. So I can tell you a little about the show if you want me to.
Yes.
Yeah. So Your Last Meal, here's my little brag because honestly, this is the best thing that ever happened to me in my whole career. So I just have to say it. It is James Beard Award nominated, which was
that's right.
I mean, insane. When I went to New York to the award show, Padma Lakshmi, read my name in my category. I was dying. It was so fun. It was so fun. But I interview celebrities about their last meals and also their lives and food in general. And then I have other guests on to talk about the history, the science, or the culture of the meal that they chose. So yeah, we just had, when I say we, I basically mean me, my 100th not anniversary, my 100th episode. Maybe I shouldn't have drank a beer while I was doing this. Yeah. And so for the 100th episode, instead of interviewing a celebrity like I usually do, I thought it would be fun to interview 100-year-old people, which turned out to be 100-year-old women because they're the only ones who are still alive at that age. So I spoke with 3 100-year-old women, which was really, really fun. And, there's all the cliches of like, oh, they're just so interesting. But they were 2 of them more than the third, if we're going to be honest here. 2 of them were more interesting than the third one. But yeah, it was really fun. And then I had IKEA on to talk about how a furniture store got intertwined with Swedish meatballs. And then I had, here's something we could talk about if you want. I had this woman on who hosts a podcast called Dinner for One. And she's an American expat living in Paris who married a Parisian guy, moved there, got divorced, and then realized that her life was a mess and she needed to start cooking for herself and to enjoy it, to have kind of a whole life again. So that kind of came into play because one of the women I was interviewing, this woman who's 100, Eleanor Owen, she is so sharp, has the greatest memory, and just it's not like talking to an old person. It's like talking to a peer. She was saying the thing that really bothers her about the pandemic is having to eat alone every night because she would have dinner parties and have people over all the time. And I related to that because, I had a partner for a few years and we split up in the fall. And since then, that's the thing that I really dislike the most is eating dinner alone almost every night because of the pandemic. I hate it. I hate it. And I'm sitting here at my quote home studio, which is at my kitchen table, which means I can't even eat at the kitchen table anymore. I'm not even dignified when I'm eating alone. I'm eating on the coffee table. Or something else I actually wanted to talk about with you guys, my true love, eating in bed. Do you guys eat in bed ever?
No.
I haven't recently, but I have. It's hard for me.
It's fun.
It's hard for me to eat in bed. I'm not that coordinated. I spill.
Yeah.
I like to put a lot of food on my plate.
Yeah.
So, I don't, and my legs aren't really, yeah, I don't do it that often.
Yeah, I've never done it once because there's that whole romantic notion of like breakfast in bed.
Yeah.
Which sounds it sounds nice, but in reality, it sounds really gross to me. Like you wake up and right away there's fucking bacon. Like, give me a second.
Yeah. Give me a moment, please.
Yeah. But how do you shake off the sadness of eating in bed? I know that like eating in bed sounds like, I don't know, someone's breakup album, actually.
Yeah, it's mine.
It's my debut. This spring.
It is my debut. I have to say, actually, I find eating in bed way less depressing than eating on the coffee table couch situation because I only eat in bed when I'm just exhausted and I want to be cozy. And so there's something that actually feels good about like cozying up in bed and putting on a show I've really been wanting to watch. And then I have this tray so nothing spills.
Yeah.
That actually feels kind of fun.
So were you guys like real traditional dinner eaters, like dinner time and everybody goes and sits at the table and has a mat and this is our time
growing up
table?
Yeah, you know what? As I'm saying this, we eat at the fucking coffee table anyway.
Why eat?
But eating at the coffee table alone sucks. I don't know.
I get it.
You did that growing up and still do?
No, I still don't. No, now. But yeah, growing up, dinner time was like a dinner time thing. And then this was a weird thing too. Like if my friends called during dinner, they were getting fucking yelled at as if they somehow were supposed to know. Like my dad would just pick up the phone and be like, "We're eating dinner," and then just hang it up. And
it's like a stovetop commercial. It's like, what time are you having stovetop? 8? Okay.
Yeah, they were supposed to know that. But I guess there was just like this assumptive hour and a half where, every family was supposed to eat dinner. But they were in trouble if they called us. And pretty much it was one of those things too, until everyone's finished, no one can leave the table.
Yeah,
Like,
growing up, we definitely ate at the table. This is my own like adult shit. But Terry, up at the beginning of the pandemic, this was one of my favorite things on social media was following your family because you were doing these themed dinners weekly where you were dressing up in costumes and eating, and you guys were all at the table. There's like 1 million of people in your family, so you have to sit at the table. Yeah. Do you sit at the table every night though? Usually?
No, absolutely not. So that was the thing. So that was not at all. So that was the thing. I think one of the things we were doing, trying to, deal with the pandemic, and everybody was going through their own thing. And I had 3 teenage daughters at the same time in the same house, locked down. Throw in a 8-year-old boy. Everybody was dealing with their own issues. So. And we had come from a spot where for years and years and years, all my daughters were athletes. They played soccer year round. They played basketball year round. And so we were just always on the go. There was never a time where we sat down at a dinner table and ate at the same time, because it was always somebody going to practice or a game or training or something. So, a couple of months into the pandemic, we were like, okay, let's break out of this monotony, do something to shake everybody up and get somebody because everybody's locked in their rooms, right? Everybody's locked in their rooms. They don't see each other. So now everybody has to come up with an idea. What do you think we should do tonight to dress up for? What's our theme tonight? And we come together and then sit down and have dinner in that theme, dress up. And it was kind of fun.
You always had the best costumes. You were in like leotards and princess dresses.
Well, that's the thing, that daddy has to do to make everybody happy during the pandemic. Like it's a once in a lifetime thing, right? Like we've never experienced anything like this. And, we had kids that were dealing with some challenges. So, hey, why not put a dress on, Dad? I mean, if who else?
You need dad's buy-in for something like that. For sure.
You kind of do. And especially because I was always the one that was like, I'm the one that doesn't come to the dinner table. Like a lot of times that I'm the jerk. I'm sorry. They'll be sitting at the table and I'm like, okay, the game is on. I'm going in the other room to watch it while I'm eating. And so I said, okay, let's do it. We'll all sit down every night and have dinner together, dressed up.
Yeah. I wish I had people around me that loved me.
We love you, Zach.
I love you. He loves you.
Yeah.
It's okay, little Zima.
So what if but Terry, let me ask you, like, what if you were like, all right, here we are, we're back at March again, theme month. Do you think your family would be like, no, that was a thing, we're not going back to that thing?
Probably. I mean, I don't know, honestly. I think some of them might be happy to do it again, but
I want more. I was sad when it's over.
But not. Here's the thing, though. Think about how much has really changed in the last year for all of us. Everything back then, last March, April, was so new and so weird and strange. Like to think that to go outside last February and wear a mask, that shit was weird. It was weird, like to get used to. And now, a full year later, to go outside without a mask is weird. I mean, it's our whole lives and our whole reality has been flipped upside down. And so, in order to try to make things less weird last year, we did some things that we probably wouldn't have done normally, like sourdough starter kits or digging a garden. So,
is there anything either of you promised that you were going to get done when you had all that time to yourself that you never did? Like this, learning Arabic or painting a portrait or whatever it would be.
No,
learning the
I know
mandolin.
Myself too well.
Yeah, I know. Same with me.
Tell myself I'm going to do something, I'm not going to do it.
I did. I lied to myself. I lied to myself a couple of times that I was going to I was going to do some things that I didn't get.
What were we going to do?
Well, so here's the thing. So, Zach, I think Rachel, I don't know if you know that.
I know everything about you.
You do.
Everything.
Do you know that I used to work in a bikini barista?
Yes, I do. Because I tried to bust your ass.
I was selling sex stuff. But no, seriously, I've been involved in the financial services business for like the last 21 years. Like
I do know that.
Yeah. So I was involved in that business for a long time, doing, life insurance, and we have investments and stuff like that. A few years ago, when I decided I wanted to try this whole radio thing, I kind of I walked away from it. I was like, I stopped doing the day-to-day, and so I let some of my stuff that I had in order to do the business, some of the licenses and whatnot, go away. And so what I told myself was I was going to take this pandemic time and study and get some of my various investment licenses that I needed to get. And that didn't happen. It didn't happen. I'm still doing podcasts.
Did it start? Did it start and not finish? Or
it
started.
It started. And so that's the messed up part, guys, because I spent money. Because you got to spend money to start the stuff. I got to buy the study materials, sign up for these classes, get fingerprinted, in order to do all this stuff. And then I get the study materials, and I'm like, okay, I read chapter 1, 2. I don't know what I just read. I have no idea. I can't remember a single thing. So I was like, I'm done. Yeah.
I got so annoyed with the commercials, though, about people who were just bettering themselves during the pandemic. It was just like, I'm using this free time to learn how to write with my offhand. Just like,
I'm now ambidextrous.
Yeah, no, I'm just purely ambidextrous. All because of Instacart, because I don't have to grocery shop anymore.
I think that I've forgiven myself too much, because every time I actually really, really should do something, not just to better myself, but I need to do it and I don't do it, I go, oh. Everyone says, be gentle to yourself. Self-care.
Yeah.
Self-care. And then I forgive myself and I'm like, fuck, I really need to do that thing. It's like not really an option.
I will search out tweets that say like, hey, you woke up today and that's good enough. And be like, yep, favorite. Because is, that's all I did today.
Exactly.
There were a lot of days in there like that for me, man. I promise you. Oh my gosh.
But I can't imagine there's that many people who created anything great last year. Like it remains to be seen, I suppose. But it would really surprise me if we see like this wave of pandemic records or films or pieces of art that people made.
I have a lot of artists. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
I was going to say I have a lot of artists and musician friends, and it actually has kind of been the opposite for people I know, where they're not feeling motivated because they are not making any money, and there's kind of like a depression factor where they're just not making things. I think that's kind of the main thing. I actually don't know anybody of my friends who's like making anything incredible during this time. They usually did, because also when you don't have like a live audience, it's not fun playing music in your house to a live stream. You do that because you have to, not because it feels good. And I have a friend who's been a musician, that's how he's made his money for the past 20 years, and he just became an economist. Like that's what he did because he couldn't make any money. So I don't know about the creativity, but it seems like things go along like normal in a lot of sectors. I have quite a few friends who've gotten new jobs. It felt like at the beginning, oh no, everybody's losing their jobs, but there's a lot of sectors doing well. A lot of people got new jobs. People get pregnant. People have babies. People get married. Like things just kind of move on. And, humans are so adaptable that even though it's not ideal, it's not like, this is what I've been relating it to a lot. We're not Anne Frank in the attic,
No.
If you didn't lose your job and you're not sick, it's not that bad. It's not the best, but you're still, hiking and eating and watching Netflix.
Right.
Yeah. You're just doing it with less people around. I mean, yeah.
One thing I will say that, has kind of really popped up, and I think, again, so much has changed over the last year that now I think that we've gotten used to and take for granted almost. A year ago, this thing that we're doing right now and the Zooms and all that was unheard of. Like that was something that I don't know what a Zoom was. If you asked me last February what a Zoom was, I would be like, what? It's the sound the car makes when you speed off on it. But now it's like it's become part of our everyday life, and you know what it's like. I got a Zoom, and everybody instantly knows what that is. So
it became a verb like Google.
Yeah, you don't even really capitalize it anymore.
Yeah.
It's not a business name any longer.
I
I wonder too, Rachel, you know, a lot of your friends are creative. And if there's some hesitancy too, because it would be difficult now to not write about the pandemic. But once we fully emerge from it, how many people are going to want to watch a pandemic era film or listen to an album about the pandemic?
Mm.
Or are they just going to not want to really remember that era whatsoever? Because this is something, it's different than something like Vietnam, where yeah, the nation went through it together, but really life continued as normal for, I mean, in a real sense for millions, most of Americans, where we all had to change our behaviors a little bit. Like, do I want to, in 2023, hear the ultimate pandemic suffering album? See, you know, a pandemic
rock.
film. Yeah, I don't know. It's got to be a difficult choice for artists right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying, I don't want to see any of it. Like, you know, the shows that are being made right now, there's a lot of TV shows that are finally coming back. And people are saying, please don't show any pandemic. Like, we just want it to look normal. So I think that that's going to be interesting in 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years when it's a relic. But yeah, I don't think anybody wants to see that in the next couple of years. Personally, I don't want to see it.
No. I don't know.
No, I don't want to see if any couple meets on Zoom or anything like that in any sort of romantic comedy. I'm tuning out immediately. Like that's just not.
Shit, I didn't even think about that. That is coming. That is definitely coming. No one's done that yet. Ugh.
Or like a full sitcom with like masks on. Like, has that happened yet? Have you seen any shows where people are parading around with masks?
No, I haven't.
No, I mean, there was the Parks and Rec reunion where it was in the midst of the pandemic, and that was pretty early on. So that was kind of like just a nice relief to see your old sitcom friends again. But at this point, I think like, yet on the other hand, it still affects the way I watch old stuff.
Yeah,
like where someone goes to someone else's door and they greet each other. It's like neither of you motherfuckers have masks on. What are you doing?
I know,
like,
I know.
It is still really weird.
On the topic of movies, I want to say, so this week I've been on like a slight, and I hope it continues, 90s kick. So last weekend, I don't know if this is a combination of being 41 and it being in a pandemic where I, like everybody else, like haven't had a ton of social interaction. So I actually like went out to a brewery and had a little bit of mezcal, which is not beer, but it became available to me. And I came home and I felt like I was in high school because I was like, put on Tupac by myself and was like, woo, in my house. And I don't know, it was really fun. But then it quickly went from like mezcal, Tupac. I want to watch Sleepless in Seattle. And I'm so cheap and it's not free on any of the streaming services that this was my big like drunk moment was that I paid $3.99 to watch Sleepless in Seattle and fell asleep 17 minutes later. But which it took me 3 fucking days to watch this movie. The next night I fell asleep in 23 minutes. And it's like the third day I finally finished it. But after that, I wanted to watch Singles, which was last night. I always love Singles. And especially living in Seattle, I loved rewatching it because I grew up in the Bay Area and I didn't know anything here, obviously. So watching a movie that was filmed in Seattle in the 90s, it's like the epicenter for grunge. That movie does not hold up. It is not a good movie anymore. I was so bummed, not because of any like, you know, racist or any of that kind of shit where you watch and you're like, oh my God, what did they do? It's just not very good movie making. It's
just not funny. Like no one's charming in it, or it's
just silly. There's a lot of like, there's a lot of gags and like a lot of taking down the fourth wall, which was a very 90s thing. I don't know. I was disappointed by that.
Yeah. No, I that doesn't surprise me. I haven't gone back to that era of 90s. I've gone back to the 80s, I think more than the 90s, I have to say no one show has given me more joy during the pandemic than Cobra Kai, which I think is absolutely perfect, brilliant, and just fills my heart with like knowing now that TV producers are concerned about like what I'm interested in watching. Do I want a Karate Kid remake? Yes, I do. And someone's making it for me.
It is so cool. The thing about it, so I remember we first talked about it, Zach, and I was kind of nervous about watching it, and I'll tell you why in a second when I tell you about the other thing that I just started. But I finally ended up watching it, and I was expecting it to be like, you know, because you told me it was about Johnny, the original antagonist, you know, and him becoming an alcoholic and all these troubles and stuff. I was like, I kind of don't want to see that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I turned, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And then I watched it, and it was so like, he's so funny. The guy's actually funny as hell, and he's corny. Like all the stuff he says is so corny. It's like it's over the top corny, and it's that's what it is. It's an over the top extreme show.
I don't know how familiar you are with the original trilogy, Rachel, the Karate Kid trilogy.
Not very, and I haven't seen Cobra Kai. I know of what Karate Kid is, obviously, but yeah, I'm not super familiar.
It's everybody's grown up. Ralph Macchio, who is literally like 60 years old, he's in it and he looks great. Everybody, obviously, Mr. Miyagi, Pat Noriyuki is dead, but so he's not in it. Which, by the way,
could they have cast a ghost?
That would have been great.
Could they have cast a ghost? Kind of lazy casting. Yeah,
I think it goes. He's in it a bunch in flashbacks. They rely heavily on flashbacks. Yeah.
Okay.
He got an Oscar nod for the first Karate Kid. I don't know if anyone knew that. Yeah, I know. That's how shitty movies were back then.
Wow.
Mr. Miyagi.
Wax on, wax off.
Best supporting actor. But yeah, it's quite wonderful. And Karate Kid was influential in my young life. It's why I took karate for 6 weeks before quitting.
And why you only wear head to toe white now.
Exactly.
Hey, I don't know if this is in your genre, but so I had watched, this is not the genre I'm talking about, the first thing, but I watched part of the Britney Spears documentary that came out recently, and it was really, really, really actually quite useful to watch. It shows you how media spins its own stories on people, and you know the whole story that you've been fed about Britney Spears is not true. But I couldn't finish it because it was so depressing, and I was like watching it before bed and I couldn't handle it. So I told a friend about this, and she said, "You know what? I am prescribing you Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. This new movie by by Kristen Wiig. She's the star of this movie." Mm-hmm. And it's $20 to rent it. And like I said, I'm super cheap and I wouldn't have paid that because this is what they're doing with new releases. You know, they rent it and they assume like a family of 4 is watching it.
Right.
So she prescribed this to me. She Venmo'd me $20. I skeptically watched it. It is so damn good. I loved it. It is not the kind of movie I thought that I would normally like, but it cleared away all of the Britney cobwebs. It was the antidote that I needed for depression. It is so happy and such a classic Saturday Night Live style movie of people who were on Saturday Night Live. I will say, as much as I love Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, I haven't enjoyed their movies. I think they're kind of cheesy and missed the mark. This one's so good. So if anybody needs like a dose in the arm of just silly happy, Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar.
Barb and Star. And Kristen Wiig stars and directs it? Is that what she said?
She stars. She actually plays 2 of the main parts in it. She plays a good and an evil part.
Okay. And she's fantastic. Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
I have to check that out. I need to dust some cobwebs out.
Yeah, dust them.
Yeah. Going forward, I don't know how many new shows are left to come out. I just read that a couple of my new shows are not going to be coming out in 2021. Like Better Call Saul. We will not see any new stuff. No Better Call Saul in 2021. Oh, but good news. Cobra Kai season 4 has already started production. They just cranked that shit out real quick.
It's not pretty mindless.
Have you found yourselves like more discerning about stuff that you watch, or less so? It's just as long as it's new, as the pandemic has worn on. Because I wonder now, like, would Tiger King be such a big deal, or was it just like we haven't had anything new, and then all of a sudden here's something new that's somewhat hashtag worthy and such. So let's all, as a country, unite in watching this thing together.
I think I'm equally discerning, but to my own detriment, because before the pandemic, I was a super, super, super busy person and really, really social and didn't watch very much. And I still don't watch that much compared to the average person, but I watch more and I never know what to watch. I have no idea what to watch. And I don't like everything. And I don't know. So I feel like I go to watch something and I end up just watching the Great British Bake Off every single time because
Yeah.
I'm at a loss. So I'm still discerning, but I wish I wasn't as much.
I personally have, I used to be really discerning. I didn't know there was a lot of stuff. I'm like, I'm not watching that. It looks lame. It looks boring. But with a lot of downtime and a lot of people to entertain in my house, I start watching things that I probably normally wouldn't have watched. And I've been surprised by a lot of stuff, good and bad. So I found some good shows, some really entertaining things, some talented people out there are getting a shot. Because before, you look at now, there's so many outlets. I think you're seeing people that are getting opportunities to do stuff like this, and that probably normally would have never had a chance to do it. So I love it. I've been watching some good stuff.
I feel like you've just described like the facts of life of TV watching. You're like, take the good, you take the bad, facts of life, facts of life, which will probably be coming back any day now because they bring every show back. And I just saw today that they brought back Punky Brewster, like a new version of it.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
So Facts of Life is coming any day now.
I sort of vaguely I vaguely remember that show. She was just kind of a somewhat troublemaking young girl, right? Who was in an unusual. She was an orphan. Okay.
She was an orphan. I loved that show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they ever get into like why her parents were dead, or was it just like
why they were dead?
Yeah, this is what killed them. Was it tragic? Or?
I think they were actually murdered by a mafia.
I think it was like somebody was on drugs or something.
Great.
Well, maybe CPS took her away because they named her Punky Brewster. That's cruel.
Which is much better than her real name, Soleil Moonfry.
Soleil Moonfry. Well, I remember so specifically some of those episodes because they were always trying to teach you a lesson in the 80s. So there was the one episode where somebody got stuck in a freezer, like just that was unplugged in the backyard. And at the end, they're like, don't play in freezers, kids. I'm like, unplugged freezer in the backyard. Like this happened to one person and now we all have to pay the price.
It almost seemed like that. Yeah, there was this like agreement. If you created a sitcom, it's like, all right, we're going to sign you for 22 episodes. 21 could be funny.
Yeah.
The 22nd, however, is going to deal with child molestation.
Yes.
I don't know.
The most random one with different strokes. I remember it was about acid rain. There was an episode about the dangers of acid rain. It turned someone's hair green.
Okay, then there were two very special episodes of Different Strokes, which I would love to spend a minute on that show. Yeah. Because I don't know if you could remake that one.
I tried.
You did?
I did. That's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that some other time. Different Strokes. Zach, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, yes.
Different Strokes on SCTV.
Yes, I do. Oh. Terry has been on screen with Eugene Levy.
What? Were you on SCTV?
Yes, he was.
In the 70s?
With Mr.
80s?
Drummond.
In the 80s.
As a child?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was a child then. I wasn't an adult yet.
But maybe you're like the reverse Arnold from Different Strokes. Like he was always small and you were always big.
No. He was on SCTV.
I was on SCTV with Mr. Drummond.
With the real Mr. Drummond.
And when you hear Mr. Drummond, does it make you crave a drumstick? Because it does. Every time I'm like, it sounds good. Chicken.
I would like a drumstick.
It takes us full circle to the beginning of our conversation about you wanting like a cartoon
drumsticks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, then since we come full circle, let's end it on that.
Okay.
Drumsticks, Mr. Drummond, acid rain.
Molestation.
Don't touch me there.
Yes, bikini bathing suit.
I don't know if you remember. There was like some bike shop owner who in his back room, he invited Arnold and his friend and then was showing him like pornographic cartoons.
Wow. Okay, they had a lot of special episodes then because I remember another one where, what was the sister's name?
Dana, the one. Yeah, Dana Plato.
Dana Plato.
Yeah.
Whatever her name was, she was dating this guy and then she brought him home for the first time and he was a racist. And so when he came to pick her up for a date, she went blackface, but not in a racist way, as a like, would you date me now? Okay?
Wait.
It was the only case of blackface that was supposed to be an anti-racist measure.
That was the that was the
Am I
80s.
allowed to laugh about this? I'm sorry.
I don't remember that one.
I remember so specifically she came down that like very dramatic staircase
Right.
with the blackface, which rhymes.
Right.
I remember that.
Yeah. That show was
Oh.
always an after school special.
Yeah. A lot of very special episodes. All right, Rachel, where do people find your podcasts? Probably everywhere.
Well, it's called Your Last Meal. Yeah, you can listen wherever you listen to this podcast or go to yourlastmealpodcast.com. Or for the next 2 weeks, if you text 100 100 to 98973, you can get it text to you.
Damn, you got a text alert, huh?
I got a text alert. Damn.
Yeah.
100. Yeah. Follow me on Instagram. Hello, Rachel Belle, Belle, and fax me late at night when you need someone to fax.
Right.
Or still send faxes.
Yes.
Yes. That's why I'm asking people to fax me.
It's insanely satisfying.
Yeah.
Or other ways, just search keywords blackface and acid rain.
Yeah,
your last meal will come right up.
It'll come right up. But it's the good kind of blackface. I'm trying to tell you.
Good to see you, Rachel.
You too. Actually, can
Always.
I tell one more fast blackface story?
Oh, geez. There's never enough blackface stories.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe this isn't a good choice. But I have this so I had this chocolate mask from what's it called? Lush?
I don't know.
We don't know where you got it from.
No.
You got it from your clan surplus store.
Yeah, I got it from the Different Strokes gift shop. And
I don't know what a chocolate mask is.
it's a face mask, but you rub it all over your face and it is the color of chocolate and it smells like chocolate. It smells so good. It actually works really well for my blemishes. So my now ex-boyfriend's mom had bought it for me and I would bring it over sometimes when I'd visit and we'd all do this mask. And every year she would make a calendar for each person. And then of all the pictures from the year. And so she gives me this calendar and I could not put it up because November and March were both pictures where we were all wearing the chocolate mask. And I was like, dude, we can't no. So don't buy the chocolate mask if you're going to take pictures is my advice because it's very, very bad.
Put them shits up on Instagram. Right.
I can't.
And with the hashtag Black History Month.
Right.
Oh, yeah, right?
Black Lives Matter hashtag.
Yeah. Chocolate mask.
The good kind of blackface.
The good blackface. The one that cleans your blemishes.
Exactly. And as soon as I get off this podcast, I'm going to donate money to Black Lives Matter because you tell that fucked up story.
Well, you just made this a very special episode.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Find us wherever podcasts are. Find Rachel's Your Last Meal. It's a good listen. Patreon.com/Burns and Hall. Rachel, good to see you.
Good to see you guys too.
Oh, much love, Rachel Belle.
I love you guys. Diva and Tonic forever.
Forever.
CNT.
CNT.
All right, Terry, talk to you.